From the beautiful Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, this is the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. We take questions from anyone in the dental profession and discuss what it takes to win not only in dentistry, but in life. Business, leadership, relationships, parenting, health and wellness, money management, nothing is off limits on the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. I'm Jason Tanoory, your host, and have over 20 years of experience to pull from. Learn from my mistakes and let me help you collapse time so you can become the best version of yourself. Next on the Dental Lighthouse Podcast, we have Brian from the great state of Texas. Brian, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. How can I help you today?
So we have a situation at the office, at our dental office that needed some help with. We recently promoted a person into a lead dental assisting position. And this person was new to assisting, and they're also new to the office. We had other team members that have been with us for longer than this person, but when this person joined and started learning things, they were very fast and they fit the role better than other team members, and they're also good at communicating. So she's been in the position for over a month and a half. And some concerns came up recently that I was kind of wanting to get some help with. And the concern came up in the meeting that this person might not be pulling their weight and maybe avoiding the basic assisting tasks. And this was by maybe two team members that felt like that. And I can't figure out if it's just the resentment part of being bypassed into that position. The fact that, she got into that lead position before them, or if it's actually this person avoiding this task. Now I can see this going both ways, where the new lead might have so much on her mind that she's getting people to do certain tasks without clearly saying that she has other things to do, or if it's actually this person avoiding this task. So just trying to figure out how to handle this situation and how to get them to come together and understand each other's roles and responsibilities.
Right. Love it. Let me ask you a clarifying question. She had no dental experience, and you hired her to be the dental assisting lead, or you hired her to be a dental assistant and then quickly realized that she would be leadership material?
She was hired to be in a dental assisting position, and then we realized that she would be a good person to be in that position, in the lead position.
Awesome. All right, so let's unpack this a little bit. Couple things. It's a tough situation to be in, and I don't envy you for having to deal with it, but hopefully I can give you some nuggets of some things to think about that might help. First off, I think we need to understand the concept of hats, right? Or seats. I like the term hats, right? So this particular person is basically wearing two hats. They're wearing clinical chairside assistant hat, and they're wearing lead dental assistant hat. And they're two very, very different jobs. Now you should have job descriptions associated with both. Okay. So she has clarity on when she's wearing this hat, she's doing this. When she's wearing that hat, she's doing that. I would also encourage you to have her scheduled accordingly. So the problem that we run into, and I've been there, and it's easier now that I'm bigger than maybe when I was your size, is when we ask a lead to also be a full-time chairside assistant, it's really hard, because when are they supposed to lead? So just to put some numbers to it, if you're open 35 hours a week and your expectation is for her to be chairside clinically with you that whole time, then when is she supposed to manage her leadership duties? So in situations like yours, what we have found that is successful is we dedicate administrative or leadership time to these clinical leads. Now, again, I don't know if you're in a position to do that, But if you are, it would be a good first step. Now, it could be as little as 1 hour per week. We have some leads that are up to 3 days from an administrative perspective, and then just a day or two chair side. So everyone's ratio is going to be a little bit different based on your size and based on your need. But if you were to divide up those responsibilities clearly and then divide up the time, what I think will happen is when she's chair side, and everyone knows she's chair side from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, she needs to be the best chair side assistant she can be. She needs to lead by example and just be amazing, right? When she's in the leadership position, that 1 hour a week, that 3 hours a week, whatever it is, I would encourage you to have her break that time up into 2 categories. One, we'll call it deep work, where she literally locks herself in a room or goes to a coffee shop and brainstorms how to make the assistant team better. Now, that could be through managing the assistant's schedule. It could be through revamping a clinical system that is broken, like how to set up the room for Crown and Bridge. It could be going to an operatory that's not being used and videoing how to break down a room. So the rest of the team has that resource. It's just work that she basically needs to do by herself. The other part of that time should be spent, I use the phrase, shaking hands and kissing babies, right? So it's basically, I want this lead to act like a mayor and walk up and down the hallways and just serve in any capacity they can. So if they see that a room needs to be broken down and the doctor's behind, then they jump right in. If they see an assistant that has a little bit of downtime, then they jump into that operatory and they have a minute meeting. How's it going? How are you doing? Do you feel supported? What needs to change? Like those types of conversations. So when she's present, she can jump in and remove obstacles because she knows, like, there's no specific job description when you're just walking the halls. You remove obstacles, you serve, you try to make your team better. But when she's wearing the hat of deep work, she's away from all the chaos, she's away from all the noise, and she's truly trying to develop systems and protocols to make the assistants better. When the rest of the assistant team sees her walking the halls, they expect her to jump in and help. When they don't see her, they're not even thinking about it. So does that help with your conundrum?
It helps. So what I want to ask as a follow-up to that is, like, I have like 3.5 or 4 assistants. So some days I can see that being very beneficial, or some days we can just have her work on it and then work on the lead part. And then some days, she has to be kind of like more involved. So like you said, in a team like your size. So the question is, like, when to hire extra help to try to avoid, like, when to hire extra help to let her do her part without losing control of the overhead, like in terms of like having extra staff then on the team.
Yeah, super good question, right? So the first thing I would do is make sure you have clear expectations for each seat that she's in, right? And I'm assuming you have clear expectations for chairside dental assistant. That's pretty obvious, right? But what you may not have is clear expectations on the dental assisting lead. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And I can send you some stuff to kind of get your creative juices going if you don't. The next question that you have to ask yourself is, does she have enough time on a weekly basis to manage that dental assisting lead job responsibility? And like I said earlier, when we were smaller, it was an hour a week, right? So that's all she needed. And as we grew and as we got more complex and as we brought on more people, she needed to dedicate more time to wearing the dental assistant lead hat and not the chairside assistant hat. So it turned into a half day, and then it turned into a full day. So there's no right or wrong answer. You just have to gauge where you're at. So at this point, based on your size, if you do have the capacity to give her 1 to 3 hours per week where she could spend half of that time in a deep work block and half of that time walking the hallways, then that's a great way to kick off, say, the next 30, 60, 90 days. And then as her responsibilities become more complex and more time consuming, then you'll have to figure out if you can create capacity for her to spend more time on a weekly basis wearing that dental assistant lead hat.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that gives me some clarity. I'll probably ask you for the materials to help me kind of get started on that.
Yeah, we have your email, so I'll forward it to you. So hopefully that answered your question. And then obviously, if you have any follow-up questions, just don't hesitate to shoot us an email or you can shoot me a text.
Sounds good.
Thanks, all right, brother. Great talking to you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Dental Lighthouse podcast. We're going to go back to the emails. Don't forget, you can email us, jason@thedentallighthouse.com. And share a question or a comment, celebration, just share, right? And it's a great way to get it in front of me and we can talk it through. I love being able to answer your DMs and your emails if you're not able to schedule a call with us. So this one is from John in Rhode Island. Jason, I have a conundrum I'd like you to help me with. I'm trying to figure out the best setup for my front desk. Currently, I have a scheduling coordinator who is also my office manager. I have a financial coordinator and I have a receptionist. I also have a part-time employee who works directly with insurance. My practice has me and an associate. We have 2 hygienists, currently looking for a third, and I feel like I may need someone else up front, but not sure the different roles and duties of each person. Can you help me? Again, awesome question. And not to sound ambiguous, but it depends, right? So let's go over some basic principles here, and then we can maybe dive specifically into your situation. Theoretically, there's the same number of tasks that need to be accomplished in every dental practice across the country. Let's say there's 100 front desk tasks, and those tasks range from answering the phone, scheduling appointments, verifying insurance, presenting treatment, generating new patient leads, so a marketing task. So let's just for the sakes of this argument, let's say that there's 100 tasks that need to get done on a daily basis to make a dental office hum. You have to then take those 100 tasks and divide them up amongst X amount of people in a way where they're able to do each task at a high level. They don't feel overwhelmed and they don't get burnt out. So most dental offices understand this, and most dental offices will take these 100 tasks and they've already started to break them up. For example, a receptionist does things like greets people when they walk in, answers the phone, confirms appointments. And it's going to be different from office to office. So the first thing that we need to do here is list out every task that you need to have occur at your front desk to make it successful. The next thing that you need to do is divide those tasks among specific seats at your front desk. Now, you use terms like scheduling coordinator, financial coordinator. The terms don't really matter. We use terms like greeter and treatment coordinator and insurance verification person. Like, that doesn't really matter. So just name them what you're going to name them, and then start to assign specific tasks with each one. We call those tasks their roles and responsibilities. And within those roles and responsibilities, there's daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly checklists. So that's the first thing. And if you're not really sure who's doing what, a great exercise, this will take some time, but it will be so enlightening for you, is to meet with your front desk team away from the chaos of a normal day. Maybe take them out to lunch and have lots of Post-it note pads on the table. And each Post-it note, you write down one specific task. So everyone basically just vomits everything that they do on a regular basis. And each task goes on a Post-it note. You take those Post-it notes and you stick them to the wall. And once you stick them to the wall, you take a step back and you have your team look at that. And then you start to have each team member pull things off of the wall that they either enjoy doing or they feel that they're really good at. And you're starting to allow your team to develop their own roles and responsibilities and their own daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly checklists. Now, obviously, you can't allow one person to take all the easy tasks, and you can't allow one person to take the tasks that they're not good at. But the gist of the exercise is to make sure that everything gets written down on a Post-it note. And then when you leave that meeting, everyone knows what they're responsible for. It's a really good way to get to the next level if you're not already there. So now the question becomes, do I need additional people? Well, once you go through this exercise or you refine the roles and responsibilities of each seat that you have, either the work is going to be manageable or it won't be. Now, if the work is manageable and they're doing a great job, then awesome. If the work is not manageable, then we have to ask some questions. Is each individual trained up well enough to do the particular task? It's a simple yes or no answer. And if you find that that task is not being accomplished at a high level, then the questions become, are you aware that this is your responsibility? Yes or no? And do you feel like you're trained up well to accomplish this responsibility? It's either yes or no. If they say no, then what an opportunity to train them up. And then another question that I feel leaders fail to ask sometimes, but is a super important one, is are you aware of how important this particular task is? So sometimes I find that our team members are very busy doing things that don't matter, right? They matter, but they don't nearly matter as much as other things. For example, confirming appointments in our particular organization is very important. And that priority should be high up on someone's daily tasks versus something like, well, we don't really have any non-important responsibilities, but I'll try to make one up here. Cleaning the staff bathroom multiple times per day. So if someone is cleaning the staff bathroom 4 times per day because it's on their task list, but they're not confirming appointments, then that's an awesome opportunity to have a conversation, create some clarity. Hey, Mary, it's more important for you to confirm these appointments than clean the staff bathroom a 3rd time. So obviously there's a little bit of humor in there, but hopefully you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Create a level of priority for the person to accomplish these said tasks. All right. So now let's regroup here. So we have specific seats at the front desk. You call these people whatever you want. They each have their own roles and responsibilities. They each have their own task lists, and they're not managing it well, right? They're overwhelmed. They are telling you that they need help. So how do you decide if you're able to give them help? Well, you had mentioned overhead. How are you going to ultimately decide if you can afford to hire another person? I hate sharing this metric with offices because it's just a guideline, but they tend to go to it a lot. In general, for a bread and butter dental practice, that's, when I say bread and butter, we're doing fillings, we're doing crowns, we're doing some endo, some surgery. Appointments are typically an hour. You want to be able to produce on a monthly basis $20,000 to $25,000 per non-doctor employee, right? So in your situation, you had mentioned that you have 4 front desk, you have 2 hygienists, you have assistants, I'm assuming. Let's assume that each of your docs, you and your associate have 2 assistants. That's 4 assistants. So we're talking about 10 people. So with your team of 10, or 9.5, because you have a part-time person, with your 10 people, in theory, at a bread and butter practice, you should be producing $200,000 a month on the low end and $250,000 a month on the high end. Remember, $20,000 to $25,000 per non-doctor employee per month. So if you're not there, then you really can't afford to bring on another person. So what are some things that you can do? Well, you can look at your systems and make sure that you're working as efficiently as possible. A great example is hygienists. Hygienists in our organization take payment in the back. They make recall appointments in the back. So when the appointment is over, the hygienist simply walks the patient out. There's no bottleneck at the front desk. There's no need to sit in a line and wait to be walked out by the front desk. If you're currently not doing that, that would be a great way to free up front desk people. So you can walk around your office and look for examples of how you could be more efficient. Another way is to make sure that stuff like insurance verification is possibly being done either off-site or in a room where the the team member is not consistently bombarded with the phone ringing, people walking in, and they have to hang up with the insurance company when they're trying to get a verification. So little things like this are ways where you can ask yourself, where are we not nearly as efficient as we need to be? And how can we get more efficient? So hopefully that answers a lot of your question. Hard to really dig into the details without getting your specifics, but I do appreciate the email. Hopefully I gave you some things to think about, and feel free to reach out, schedule a call, shoot me another email if you have follow-up questions. Thanks, Mark. Thank you. That wraps up another episode of the Dental Lighthouse podcast. You have a choice today. Choose to be a lighthouse. Lighthouses are powerful and steadfast. They are beacons of light for others to reference when life gets turbulent. Go out into the world today and become a lighthouse for someone. Give more than you get. True joy comes from serving others. Start today. I'm Jason Tanoory, your host. Thank you for listening to the Dental Lighthouse podcast. For more information, podcast show notes, or links to anything that we have discussed today, please check out our website, thedentallighthouse.com. We would love to hear from you. If you would like to get on the show, please email us at podcast@thedentallighthouse.com.